Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another servant analysis video. This one is about 4-star Berserker Kriemhild. She is story locked, unlike her 4-star counterpart that also released today, Roland, who is permanent. I'm not going to do any comparison between the two. They are very different servants. I think that's a great thing. But let's take a look at what makes her unique, what makes her go from 0 to 100 real quick, as you'll see, and what makes her worth it or not. Let's take a look. So as you'll see, Berserker Kriemhild here skews attack over HP. You love to see that for Berserkers. They're all about just packing a punch. They're here for a good time, not for a long time. Double Buster, double Arts deck, 3 hits on all of her face cards, except for the extra attack. It is 5 hits. You love to see that. Star weight on par for Berserkers. It's not even worth mentioning star weight when it comes to Berserkers. Her star gen, honestly, is kind of low, but that's okay. It's not what she's here to do, as you'll see. Let's take a look at her skills down here. On the first skill, she will drain the NP by 1 tick off of your enemy's gauge. She'll also apply defense down to all enemies, which in the game's algorithm counts as attack up, so we like to see that. 10 to 20%. She'll also apply critical rate down against them, 10 to 20%. 3 turns of downtime and 6 turn total cooldown. It's fine. It's a fine skill, honestly. It's a very 4-star skill, so nothing wrong with it whatsoever. It helps her to kind of control the flow of battle, help reduce crits against her, help reduce the enemy's defense as well, and kind of guide where the NP is going to hit and when it will hit, right? Which is important for Berserkers. You got to protect them. On the second skill over here, it's Arts up, it's Buster up, both of those 20-30%. Again, 6 turn cooldown, 3 turns on those for uptime, and special damage up against chaotic enemies. Notably, she is also a chaotic servant, so she's out for her own. But yeah, special damage up against chaotic enemies, 30 to 50%. Honestly, it's a good skill. It's a good 4-star skill yet again. It stacks multiplicatively, not only between the Arts and Buster, but also the special damage up. And again, defense down counts as attack up in the game's damage algorithm. So she's already on her way to doing very good damage, very good damage. Over on the third skill over here, it is a targetable taunt. So she can apply taunt to someone else. That's a great defensive maneuver for a Berserker to have. She also has a 30 to 50% battery. 30 to 50% battery. Like I said, she goes from, she gets ramped up real quick, and this is part of it. 30 to 50% battery, 6 turns cooldown. What I love, perhaps the most about her kit, nice, balanced cooldowns across the board. 6 turns on all 3 skills. I don't know why that just really speaks to me. It helps me think about how we can manage the flow of battle really well. It helps me, at least when I'm using a servant, know how much I can expect. I don't have to kind of think about, all right, this has 5 turns of cooldown, this has 7, this is 11, whatever. All 6 for her at level 10. Notably, she also has a very nice heal, 1,000 to 3,000 HP at level 10. This is just like, it's a pretty solid kit overall, honestly. Like, so far, she's capable of dealing pretty good damage. She's capable of protecting herself in unique ways, which is to apply a taunt to someone else. You'd love to see a targetable taunt. Not a lot of those in the game at all. Not to mention she has a heal, and she can also drain the NP charge from the enemy. So, honestly, pretty solid overall on the skills side. Over on the NP, it is a 4-hit NP that removes defense buffs first. You love to see that. You love to see that. It also has super effective damage against dragon enemies. Notably, this is not turn-based, so it is a type 4 buff. This over here is 3 turns. So if we take a look real quick, all my live stream watchers are about to go crazy for this. This is our handy-dandy multiplicative damage chart. And what you can see on this is that she has attack up via the defense down. She has card color up. And on NP, she has Arts Resist down. So both of those are checked off. She also has the Power mod that you'll see on the Type 3 buff with the Anti-Treat on the second skill. And then on the Super Effective, she does have that, as you are about to see yet again over here with the Super Effective damage against dragon enemies. So if there are any chaotic dragon enemies, they are dead. They are dead. It is a single target Arts. It is 4 hits. Based off of what I'm seeing here, I'm not entirely certain that she's going to be a self-looper by any means. She's not here to unseat 5-star arts single target berserkers. I think she's honestly got a very solid niche in and of herself. She's not the kind of servant that you're going to take to every fight that requires a single target servant and just outright dominate them. However, again, if they are checking any of her boxes, Dragon, over here on the Chaotic, she's going to do very, very, very good damage. Very good damage. And not to mention the fact that she does have 3 hits on her arts card. Conceivably speaking, if you can somehow guide some stars there, you could be looking at a pretty reliable and fun boss killer right here. She also notably applies arts resist down, as I mentioned when we brought up the multiplicative chart. 20 to 40% on that. It does last for 3 turns. Very nice. You'd love to see that, again, because of the fact that there is the potential to get some NPs going either in quick succession or possibly a turn delayed from that. It's really nice to see that the arts resist down is still going to be there, and it'll stack up the next time you use that NP if you can keep the NPs coming with her. The best thing, obviously, here is removing defense buffs. This is really good. I mean, if you're going into a boss fight, sometimes it could be a challenge quest. They are typically going to have some gimmick or another. They're going to have perhaps some survivability. This does not care about that. Unless it's guts, it's gone. So you love to see that. Now you're about to see where things really take off, and that's the materials. On her Ascension, she needs 30 of these new 6.5 material right here. She also, on her skill, needs 60 stakes, 30 Dragon Fangs, and 60 more of these. It's pretty steep. Let's call a spade a spade. It's pretty steep. Yes, it's at, you know, level 8 to 9. I get that, but 60 stakes, 60 of these. That's a tall order, right? That's a lot to chew on. Not to mention the fact that you have to cough up 30 of these. This is a brand new material as it is. 30 of these just to get her at final Ascension, right? On the append side, it's a different story. Everything's pretty reasonable until the vaunted bells make their return. If you have any servant who needs bells, then you know that you're going to need to farm hundreds and hundreds of bells whenever you can for NA players who are going to get to JP eventually, right? That being said, taking a look at her skills, there is a very clear hierarchy here. You don't need to worry about that higher end skill cost across the board, and we'll talk about why here. So on this first skill, it is not a vampirism. It does drain the NP, but it does not give her that charge. It's not scaling based off of that or anything. This isn't a Uriel situation or even a Carmilla or something like that, right? On the second skill, yes, these are nice, like 20 to 30%, 30 to 50%. The one that scales the best is the special damage against chaotic alignment. There's nothing wrong with leaving it at level 6. 40% is nice. The reason for that is because you are getting multiplicative damage out of her in so many different ways, right? This third skill is definitely the one to pay attention to the most. Again, 30 to 50% battery. If someone's got a battery, it's typically going to be the one that you recommend someone level first. And not only that, but the healing is really nice. The targetable taunt having a lower cooldown is also really clutch for a Berserker Servant. So skill 3 is definitely the one that you're going to want to level first. I would go so far as to argue that you could level skill 3 and take skills 1 and 2 to 4 or 6 and be fine there. Especially skill 2, it's going to be fine at level 6. And as we look at the materials over here, that's honestly really, really reasonable. It's really, really reasonable to look at this and say, you know what, if I just want to take her to level 6, I really am not coughing up that much. I really am not. You could even argue for 7. Now, it's when you go from 7 to 8 and then 8 to 9, that's when it gets pretty rough. That's when it gets pretty expensive. But I would argue that you don't really need to do that for the first 2 skills. So I know this looks like a lot. These are pretty scary numbers right over here. But maybe only worry about that for 1 skill, to be honest with you. Maybe only 1 skill. This is still, it's still there on the Ascension. So you're going to need a lot no matter what, right? The passives, she has a great passive, Madness Enhancement. It is EX level. It is 12% buster up. So what you're seeing here is someone who can hit hard on their NP, but even if she's not hitting hard on her NP, right? Even if she just like is using her NP and it's like decent damage or whatever, there's like some kind of gameplay mechanic where arts is being resisted or something. We've seen lots of raids like that, right? she still is able to deal damage with her Buster cards, thanks to the Buster up and the defense down. Not to mention the Madness Enhancement EX. Like, that's really nice. On the append skills, the third append skill it's never worthwhile in a Berserker. Potentially hot take there. I don't think it's worth a damn. But on the other two, because of the fact that she has a 50% battery, I actually would argue if you're strapped for materials and you just don't want to do all the farming, you could take a look at these append skills and say to yourself, well, you know what? If I take this up to level 6, right? If I just take this right here up to level 6 and I unlock the append skill, suddenly I've got the 50% battery anyway, right? Typically, that's not something you're going to want to plan around, but this is a very, very, very steep material cost for a brand new servant and a brand new farming material right there. I think it's a viable strategy to say to yourself, you know what? I'm not going to worry about anything else as far as going above 6 right now. I could do 666 on her skills. Again, very reasonable cost to do so. And if I'm going to do that, I save a lot of farming on these right off the bat. Potentially, you could go farm them later on. If you really like her, you could definitely get her up there. But in the interim, there's nothing wrong with saying to yourself, you know what? I'm going to take this up to 6, leave it there, unlock her append skill, and have that 50% play right there. Eventually, if you max both of those anyway, congrats, you've got 70% on turn 1. Not exactly like a game-changing number right there, that 70%, but it's okay. It's nice, right? So definitely pay attention to the strategy at hand for leveling this servant. Again, I know this is a lot. It's a lot, right? There's really no like two ways about it. This is a steep number. Maybe play the append game a little bit and just unlock the skill to help make that a little more digestible, right? On to her Bond CE over here. It is an interesting one. If you know the story of Kriemhild, if you know who she's connected to, I am not going to say any names. Most of you already know, but I'm going to keep it spoiler-free for my NA-only viewers or people who just don't want to know, right? But this is a very important, let's say, object in her lore and who she's connected to. But she has special damage versus Chaotic and Dragon on her Bond CE. You could make the argument that for some fights, this is going to be pretty useful. So once again, a pretty solid servant. This is a good 4-star. I wouldn't put her quite on the tier as Roland. He honestly just is like insane. But she's no slouch either. I will say, if you are looking for a new favorite single target Berserker, it's nice to have arts, but it's nice to have all of those different damage niches that she can check off, right? Once again, just a kind of brief overview, having special damage, having super effective damage, like these are very, very, very strong buffs. And the amount of damage that you can crank out with these steroids in tow is significant. It really is. So I look forward to seeing some of the other content creators make videos on her performing in her niche, going against these types of enemies to see what kind of damage you can really pull off with her. Not to mention buff strip. I mean, all defensive buffs being stripped away before damage, like that's really nice. It's really nice. So she is a solid servant. If you are rolling on the banner for her, honestly, I wish you the best of luck, but you've got a good one coming your way. And even if you're not aiming for her, and if you get her, she's a good one to have, honestly. Definitely no slouch. Again, I want to just kind of like highlight this. Yes, her mats can be very steep at the upper level, right? Yes, that can be pretty steep. However, play the append skill game to help dodge that, because of the fact that it is one skill, just one skill. It's the battery, and it's a very, very, very reasonable cost just to get to level 6 for her. Like, it's not bad at all. It's not bad at all. So play the append skill game just to get that one unlocked. If you do that, this third skill doesn't need to be at level 10. Yes, the cooldown is going to be a turn higher, but it's a give and take, right? So keep that in mind when it comes to her. Last but not least, enjoy her lore, enjoy her story. Her artist notably also did Sieg and Siegfried, not to mention Astolfo and many, many others. So there's a lot of connections between all of those. Enjoy her lore, right? Kind of get into what makes her the way that she is from a damage niche perspective. Again, I'm not going to spoil, but I think it's great. I think it's great. I'm really glad that she's in the game. And I'm glad for what it represents for other servants in the game and their potential interactions going forward. So let me know in the comments below what you think of her. I'm always open to hearing about what people think of servants' art. Even though I don't cover them from an aesthetic perspective, I do like to hear what people think about what they're seeing on their NPs, on their card art, things like that. In their attack animations, all of that, right? So let me know about that. Let me know what you think of her, whether or not you got her, whether or not you're aiming for her, if you're looking forward to her in a couple years as an NA-only player, etc., etc. Long story short, thank you so much for watching. I will see you on the next one. Enjoy Kriemhild. Take care of yourselves.